everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Gisela Murillo, and I make videos on YouTube every Monday. Today's video is going to be all about how to become a New York City substitute teacher if you are uncertified. Uncertified means that you have a completely different background, a different field that is not education or to become a teacher. I really wanted to do this because I really wanted to help those of you that are wanting to become subs or want to look for a different job, a career change, etc. And hopefully this video helps you out, because I wish it was available when I first began and somebody would have told me this is how it was. So now I'm sharing this video with you. And before I get more into detail, you can definitely find specific details on the New York City Department of Education substitutes. If you do a quick Google search, you will see a whole list on how to become New York City sub the uncertified way. This video, and maybe future videos, will be dedicated to how to become the best New York City sub you can become, or maybe those of you looking for a job change, a career change, a backup plan. So there are two paths to become a New York City substitute teacher. There is the certified way, which is you are studying to become a teacher, your background is in education, and you want to maybe experience what the classroom environment is like and maybe get exposed to all grade levels. That is actually a very good way for teachers to experience what the classroom is like when they are subbing. The other way to become a sub is the uncertified way. Now, this is the way I'm going to be talking about. So the nomination letter is the first step, whether you're certified or uncertified. A nomination letter is pretty much an application. In New York City, you need to go to a school, any school, it could be from pre-K all the way to 12th grade, and make an appointment, or if you're lucky, see a principal that same day and ask for a nomination letter. Now, you can't just go on the New York City Department of Education looking for an application to apply for a job for a sub. You cannot do that. The only way you can get this application is by meeting a principal. Some principals will interview you, some won't, because some are too busy within the day to actually have a sit-down conversation with you. They ask you, okay, you want to be a sub. Maybe they'll ask you why you want to be a sub. They'll probably ask you where you went to school, what are you studying, etc. So just be prepared to answer those basic questions. And then between 24 to 48 hours, you will get the application to become a substitute teacher. Congratulations, you just finished step one. Now, here are some of the challenges with nomination letters. This is just my experience of how it happened for me. I went to my brother's high school to obtain a nomination letter, and I even gave my resume in, but some people that sit behind the desk, they forget. Fine. If that happens and you don't hear anything, move on to the next school. You should be actively going to different schools, searching for a principal that is willing to nominate you. Be prepared to get rejected from some schools. And also, something to be aware about is during the summer, I've noticed, because I tried to look for a nomination letter during the summer. During the summer, a lot of the nominations are closed, because by that point, a lot of kids are already on vacation. A lot of principals don't think really want to talk to people at that point. But it is best to do the nomination process when schools are just starting to open. So in New York City, that would be around September. I remember it was the very beginning of September. I had just gotten out of another job because I knew that this was the goal for me. This was my goal, to get a job with the Department of Education. So as soon as the school year started, I went to the secretary's office, the main office of the school, and I told them, oh, nominations are now open to become substitute teachers on the Department of Education website. And if they need proof of this, because sometimes secretaries are a little hesitant to get you to see the principal, and they'll ask for like paperwork and stuff, but you have to explain to them that you want to be a sub for all mostly all districts, and that you're willing to be day to day in different schools. If they need proof of that, be ready with your phone, a thing to them so they can see in green letters, nominations are still open. So this sometimes can last from the beginning of the school year, which is September, all the way to like April, May, and I want to say in June. I feel like in June the nominations start closing up. The second thing that you need to do to become a uncertified New York City sub is you need to know English, you need to have a bachelor's degree, and the last thing that you need is you need authorization to work in the United States. So there's a few things you need to be willing to do in order to become a New York City substitute teacher through the uncertified path. You need to be willing to invest money. The DOE holds several workshops for you to kind of learn about the environment of how to manage a classroom, the types of behaviors, the types of situations that can happen while you're in a school environment. You need to be willing to pay for those workshops in order for you to get the best experience to become a sub. You need to be willing to pay for fingerprinting. Now, it goes without saying you are working with children. Children need to be in a safe environment, so they need to make sure that they know who is working with kids. The second thing you need to do is that you need to have a bachelor's degree to become a New York City sub, certified or uncertified. The New York City Department of Ed accepts people with different backgrounds and different educational experiences. And the third thing and most important thing to become a New York City teacher, especially when you have zero background in teaching and you're jumping into a whole new career, is you need to exhibit patience. Now, it goes without saying you are working with kids from pre-K level all the way up to 12th grade level. Every scenario presents a different challenge. Today, I will not be talking about that. If you would like me to make a separate video talking about what the inside of a classroom or the environment of a classroom is like, I will make a separate video for that. So, nomination letter, bachelor's degree, you need to be proficient in writing and speaking English, and you need to be authorized to work in the United States. So once the principal sends you the nomination application and you apply, the Department of Education takes about 24 to 48 hours to respond to that application. Right after that, they tell you you need to do a whole bunch of workshops. You need to do a couple of exams. The exams in the beginning of the process are free. All you have to do is complete them, because this is still technically part of the application process. You need to complete the examinations. Pretty much the exams are how to best manage classrooms. So those are the beginning exams. Now, with the exams, like these free exams, you have two opportunities to take them. So if you fail the test the first time, you have a second shot at trying to do the test. If you do not pass both times, then the third time they will ask you, I think you do need to pay for the exams. I started doing this job in 2015. I'm not sure if the rules changed, but I think that is my memory of how it was done. Once you do all that, you need to do all the workshops, such as DASA, which is the Dignity Act for All Students. You need to do a child abuse workshop, school violence prevention, etc. Like I said, you can find more details about this on the actual Department of Education website. So the Department of Ed, with your application, they give you a checklist of like the things you need to complete in order for you to start working as a New York City sub, certified or uncertified. And you can see like that they check off like, okay, she did the workshop of child abuse, she did the workshop of school prevention, she did the exams that were for free, she did the DASA, etc., etc. For DASA, by the way, it's a two-part system. The first part is you complete an exam online. And then the second thing with DASA is once you're done with the exam, the second part to DASA is you need to go to like a session where they talk about bullying and how to respond to behavioral issues that a child might be going through, etc., etc. And then once you're done with that, then you're done with the DASA workshop in general. Like I said, you need to be willing to invest with the workshops. The workshops do cost money. And then once your main checklist for your application is done and they see that you have completed the exams, the workshops, and then there's also something with pathogens, like you need to watch a video about blood, how to best, if a child is bleeding, like how to best take care of the situation. The last video shows you how to navigate something called SubCentral. Once you're done with all your checklists, you get called into something of like an orientation where they will test your ability to see how your English skills are in writing, where they process all of your paperwork. So you need to bring proof that, the certificates that you completed all the workshops. You need to bring proof that you passed the exams, your bachelor's degree. So you can pick the time when you want to go into orientation. There's always updates. Make sure you have whatever check or money order the Department of Ed needs so they can process all your stuff. Oh, you also need your transcripts because they need to make sure you graduated with your bachelor's degree. I caught a little bit of a hiccup in this orientation. Now, something that is not written on the Department of Education website is it says you need a bachelor's degree, but it doesn't say you need a bachelor's degree necessarily in the fields of education or becoming a teacher. It doesn't say specifically, though, like you need that degree. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's in comm arts, which is a completely different field than the fields of education. The lady looked at me, she's like, well, you have no education credits, for us to add on to your documents so you can work. I was a little scared and hesitant because I had just invested, money into this. And then I told the lady, I'm like, but in the website, it doesn't say that you need education credits. A bachelor's in education. It just says bachelor's degree. So she pretty much told me, she's like, well, then you're going to have to get teaching credits in order for you to continue subbing every year as a New York City substitute teacher. And I was a little taken aback because I thought this was it, I was done. But the lady was just pretty much telling me, you need to do extra work in order for you to continue keeping this job every year. So they gave me a paper where it pretty much mapped out some examinations that I could take or some courses that I could take in order to fulfill the Department of Education requirements to continue my job as a substitute teacher, because I was uncertified. So this is the hiccup, and I want to explain this because this will help you guys determine if you want to continue on the path of becoming a sub and eventually hopefully a teacher. I was a little upset because after finishing my master's recently that year, I was like, oh no, I have to study more. I have to study more in order to, be a sub. I was taken aback and I was confused and I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But perseverance and patience are key here. She's like, if you want to work more than 40 days, you have to take these educational credits. And when I saw the paper, I saw how each exam was worth something. And I'm like, wow, but I just invested in this. Now I have to invest in this too. I looked at the sheet, and in the sheet it said, I can take some examinations that are worth course credits. I said to myself, okay, well, I have to study for these exams. Now, if you're trying to become a New York City sub the uncertified way, the Department of Education requires you to have at least 21 credits to be a sub or full-time teacher for the long haul. After 21, you do not need to further take any more credits or courses. So some exams are worth 3 credits. Some, the one I took in June of last year was worth 6. Now these exams present challenges. You're not going into a classroom where the teacher is telling you, oh, this is the project, this is the final, this is what you have to read in the textbook. No. So here's the thing. In order for you guys to get through this process like I did, you have to be severely disciplined and severely and mentally prepared to study. Because no one is going to tell you this is in the test. In order for you to take these exams with the Department of Ed, you need to pay for the exam, you need to register for a seat, which also requires money, which is why I said in the beginning, you need to be willing to invest in order to keep this job. You need to invest, you need to save for registration, for a seat, for you to take the test, to actually take the exam, that's another price, and also to buy the textbook. Now, something I found super helpful when doing these exams is something called study.com. It's a website pretty much filled with courses on the actual name of the test that you are taking. And it's consisted of videos on each subtopic for the exam. So let me go back to study.com. Study.com is a great tool in order for you to pass these exams. This is how I passed them. They give you a 5-day trial for free. So you have to force yourself for 5 days straight to study really hard and to make sure you get each subtopic, you check it off the list for each test to review for the exam. I would suggest getting the trial that comes with the quizzes because even though it says, I believe, $69.99, it's going to be free for those 5 days. Just make sure you unenroll before the 5 days are over. I would say maybe on the 4th, 5th day, you should have a lot of notes already taken by watching the videos, and you should unenroll. I feel like this will help you pass the exam because reading a textbook, I know, can be a little bit daunting to some people. I found watching the videos actually to be very educational, visual. I'm a visual learner and very helpful. And you can always rewind and go back if you miss something. Now, I'll give you guys a little bit of my background history. I already exhausted all the exams that I could possibly take for the Department of Ed to approve me for working every year as a sub. Now, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the Department of Education requires you to take 6 credits for every year for you to continue subbing in classrooms every year. So you can take maybe 2 exams that are worth 3 credits. You need to give in all these credit exams and transcripts and all this jazz before the end of August, because that way they can process all your documents, and again they'll send you an online checklist of what you've completed and what maybe you still need to complete to sub for the following year. I looked at the Department of Education website, and it says that there are some courses you can take sponsored by the following people. I was gracious enough to meet another sub just like me. She told me, oh, I took coursework for 5 days, and that's how I got my credits. And I was like, what? So there is a sponsorship called SITE. SITE sponsors St. Rose. They are called non-matric courses. Yes, the classes, you do need to invest money in them. From my experience and my knowledge, SITE courses are $600 and I believe $45. You need to leave a registration payment of $195, and then when the class starts, you pay the full tuition, which is $450. Now, it's going to be my first time taking these classes, so I can't tell you about my experience right now or what I find helpful. But when I finish my first class, if you guys would like, I can make a video talking about that course, and how it was like, maybe what textbooks you needed, etc., etc. So the classes are only 5 days, and a lot of the classes for Sight, I noticed that they're weekends classes, or they do the classes during the time the students have off in public schools. So my first class is actually going to be taking during the spring break, so I won't get a spring break, but I will be taking something off my checklist and moving further along with my job. The classes are from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. My coworker explained to me that the need of a textbook varies within each professor that you have. You can look up Sight classes, non-matric, and you can see what courses are available. There are some bilingual courses, but I think for the bilingual courses, you need to be able to speak Spanish. And I think for the most part, from what I saw, those courses are only available in Queens. So if you live in Queens, you can learn how to teach another student a different language, or how to best help a student who has, who English isn't their first language. And then there's a lot of special education courses that you can take as well. So one more thing, textbooks. I would say rent textbooks from Amazon. Why? Say you only need about 3 weeks, 4 weeks to study for one exam. Yes, I know that's a month. If you only need 3 to 4, maybe 5 weeks, and you're done with that textbook, you can return it back to Amazon, and Amazon will actually give you most of your money back. Now, when I say most, they won't give you all of it back because they need to, I think, pay for the shipping to return the book. They'll take away maybe like $4 or $5. But so let's say you pay $20 for the renting of a textbook. You return it to Amazon. Well, because it's rented, you need to return it anyway. You get $15 back. Last thing I want to talk about is SubCentral. So this is once all the paperwork is processed and everything is done. So now you finally get to work. SubCentral is pretty much where I live. This is where I find my jobs on the daily, or how I know where to go each day for my job. Oh, I forgot to say, as a sub, you also need to be prepared to travel. Depending on what districts you choose to work in. For example, I choose to work in the city. I choose to work in Brooklyn, in like the very beginning of Brooklyn, getting out of Staten Island, and also the Staten Island borough. So SubCentral is pretty much a place where teachers go and they put jobs available for the day, or if you're looking for a job maybe to fill in for the days of the week that you want to work, you can like arrange the day, you can set date ranges, and SubCentral will try to find you something, maybe a school posted or a teacher posted, etc. It's also a great way to manage your schedule. Meaning, example, you do not have to work Monday through Friday if that is not your cup of tea. I mean, it is preferable if you, because subs get paid per day, so if you want to make more, you have to work more days. However, if working Friday is not your cup of tea, or maybe you just have another job, or maybe you can't Fridays for whatever reason, you can block yourself for all of Friday until the end of the school year. Now, I don't want to get too much into SubCentral because they, like I said, there is a video provided by the Department of Ed showing you how to navigate SubCentral. I just quickly wanted to touch up on it. So SubCentral is the last step that you do once you finish your paperwork is all good with the Department of Ed. Now, the Department of Ed, what they do once all that stuff is all good and said is they give you an ID number, and they give you a PIN number. So you'll have to call first to the SubCentral. There's a number you can call to set up your SubCentral account. Yes, you have to call first. You cannot do your SubCentral or make a SubCentral account without calling. You have to get a message recording. You have to get your ID number, everything through the phone first, and then you can navigate your desired schedule. So something I just wanted to talk to you guys about really quick. In terms of payment to be a sub, you do not get paid the day the kids have off from school or the days that you don't work, because it's a per diem paycheck. I just wanted to let you guys be aware of that. So if you take days that you need appointments or you have vacations, you do not get paid. You only get paid for the days you provide service. Here's a little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in communication arts. Completely different field than the fields of education or teaching. Eventually, my goal is to merge both careers and teach media. I do YouTube as more as a creative outlet, a soul-searching journey, and also because I have very high interest in fashion and art, and I'm still kind of exploring my voice on YouTube. But once again, my name is Gisela Murillo. This video was all about how to become a New York City substitute teacher the uncertified way. I make videos every Monday, so if there's something, like I said, I didn't touch up on and you would like me to talk about further, please leave it in the comments below and maybe that will be the video for next Monday. Like I said, this job requires a lot of namaste, a lot of patience, a lot of calmness. You need to be prepared for every type of situation. You need to be very organized. So I hope you guys like this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it. If you have time, please support my channel by subscribing to it. And I love you, llamas, and I will see you all again next Monday. Bye for now.